The soul-crushing reason why Chainsaw Man is so popular. Denji and how simping kills. Carl Jung, the neo-Freudian psychologist, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct you to life and you will call it fate." Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. This is Matsu-sama. Now at face value, you might think that Chainsaw Man is just a baka no otoko with a kawaii inu with a chainsaw sticking out of his head and killing some demons with his tomodachi. But you're wrong, or at least you could figure out that you could be wrong later in this video, because Kuso gets real fast. It gets real not only in the fact that if humans had to kill demons, 100%, honestly speaking, you would be terrified. It's not fun to die. But more than that, the motive behind each character's actions develops deeper into human motivation, the psychology behind simping, and the soul-crushing reality of loneliness that we all share. The first reason I believe Chainsaw Man got so popular on the internet and literally broke it is in a very short amount of time, you get really attached to the characters, more attached than you will compared to other anime. This video we are going to focus on our main protagonist Denji, a young man with one sole purpose, which is to muneo momu, or roughly translating to feel. But already from the beginning of the story, we are told that he sold his kidney, his left eye, and even his left nut testes. Not only that, one of his simple dreams is to eat a toast with a jam on it. It's something that you would expect anyone from that age should be able to do on a regular basis. As a viewer, it is impossible for any one of us to not feel some sort of pity for Denji in this situation. But at the same time, what makes Denji so special is that he does not have a linear personality whatsoever. Even with the situation that he's in, he does not necessarily seem to be asking for pity or giving up in any particular way. He's definitely not an optimist that's filled with joy, dreams, like a typical anime protagonist, as the only thing he wishes for is to live a normal / average life and to, of course, feel. In a way, he does represent a semi-lost protagonist that does not necessarily have a grand goal, which many viewers, especially anime viewers, can relate to. And this is because we have seen similar archetypes in protagonists before in anime. For example, the protagonist Shinji from Neon Genesis with his lack of direction or definite purpose that he himself wants. However, unlike Shinji, Denji is straight up a savage. He does not run away from conflict. Actually, he thrives on it. He directly engages it. And every time he pulls on his trigger and becomes Chainsaw Man, screaming and fighting, there is sort of a cathartic release that can be subconsciously emerging from Denji. Despite being a definite victim of extreme cruelty in life on familial and societal levels, he does not exhibit much turmoil or reaction to this cruelty, at least consciously in his daily life. And because of this, I equate Denji turning into Chainsaw Man to a Freudian outburst of him literally becoming a chaotic, out of control chainsaw that destroys anything in his path. He does explain at one point in the story that it physically pains him to turn into that direct metaphor that this uncontrolled and badly integrated form of outburst will have devastating and destructive consequences, even to himself. Denji shows that sometimes you do not need a grand goal in life, but at times life itself can be so cruel that your rebellion against the cruelty for the pursuit of a simple life can be a story to be watched and emulated throughout the ages. Now with this, you can feel bad for Denji, for sure. I felt bad, a lot of people felt, a lot of my tomodachi felt bad, but in all honesty, Denji is in fact incredibly relatable, especially with our generation. Now sure, we might not live alone selling body parts and killing demons, but with the legitimate increase of student loan debt, credit card debt, understanding the ever-changing debt collectors is something that most of the young generation can all relate to pretty personally. And not only that, there is a significant rise in loneliness with my generation, younger, because they always grew up with phones technology, and those who have never felt a real connection or emotional intimacy ever increasing, especially after the lockdowns that we faced for a couple of years. Damn, this goes deep. And we communicate through our phones, broadcast our lives through Instagram, Snapchat, and as soon as the phone is off, a lot of us could relate to the utter loneliness that surrounds you. It can be similar to being alone in a house like Denji. With this, it is possible that if they develop real connections outside of their phones, internet, and many of my generation will be just as lost as Denji when navigating friendships and romantic intimacy for basically the first legitimate time. With this relatable loneliness, Denji reverts to what most males around his age will turn to, which is pursuit of topping the feel. Now, there's nothing wrong inherently with wanting a romantic partner at that age, but the ease of Denji being controlled by any suggestion of physical contact with the opposite sex, even if they're semi-demons, is what makes it tough for viewers to not cringe about. Oh, you want me to save a cat? Let me cop a feel? You want me to kill a devil? Just give me a little kiss. You want me to work for you like a literal dog? One? Just give me attention. Truly being a bona fide simp. Now, in our real lives, especially our generation, again, what do we see a rise of? Simps. A little simping. With Twitch, TikTok, and even OnlyFans, you can see that to fulfill their empty loneliness, people will literally pay money for attention from the opposite sex. The emptiness felt from instant gratification is also shown in the anime as the time when he actually got to cop a feel with power. Now, it was not technically instant gratification per se, because he had to go through a lot to achieve this, but obviously there's not a romantic feeling attached to it in both sides at this point of the anime. So afterwards he feels an intense feeling of emptiness, void, as you could say. Mu is what you say in Japanese, which means nothingness. And this is kind of similar to a lot of males would get it after you get my point. Now, Makima, after this, quickly swoops in and gives him another instant gratification, a little carrot on a stick to pursue, as that's typically how it goes with these semi-addictions. And you can see how easily, especially males, let's all be honest, can be manipulated in this way, which is quite sad to see even with most of the male watchers that might even do the same thing.
Who here is a Makima fan?
Walk, 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 walk.
This is hard to do a plug right here. Quick pause if you want to learn Japanese with me, Matsu-sama, playing of real anime examples. Check out my Skillshare, Hiragana, Katakana, which is the two writing systems that you will have to know to be able to speak and sound out every Japanese word and sentences, as well as basic grammar so that you could construct your own sentences and be able to introduce yourself. I'll see you there in Skillshare, Matsu-sama, link in the description below. Now back to the video. Now, with all this in mind, do these aspects make Denji, or anyone who relates closely with Denji, a bad person? And to that, I would have to say no. And no, it does not, for the following reasons. Because if you look closely, although Denji for sure does simp and he can be downright bad with it, he actually is not naive and actually has that dog in him, quite literally, in the moments that matter. For example, when Power tricked him into the house for Nyako. Yes, he did that initially to cop a feel, for sure, but later on decides to risk his life to save Power and Nyako. And clearly, it does show that Denji connected to how Power and Nyako relationship was similar to him and Pochita, which is much more nuanced understanding than the primal sexual attraction. Like, I think it is hard to argue that he did all that purely just for cop a feel. I think that would be missing the point that was written in the story where he connected him and Pochita with Nyako and Power. Also, even in the beginning when the debt collector told him to eat a cigarette, he does so, but quickly spits it out, showing that he also knows to act a part of being naive. Obviously, he wasn't naive completely. And major spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, goes yon san ni ichi. Not only does Denji decide to not spend time with Makima when Power was scared to be alone in the house because of the darkness devil, in those moments you can see the clear line that separates Denji from being a completely unlikable incel per se to a young man that has experienced true cruelties in life to the point that he can only express it in a subconscious outburst, either through cathartic release as a chainsaw or primal instant gratification through simping. With this, I do believe Denji symbolizes freedom and free will of the human experience and all the glory as well as the sad reality of it. Jean-Paul Sartre, one of the philosophers, argued that man is responsible for everything he did and he did not do. Denji experiencing that regret and trauma throughout with the death of Aki, possibly being prevented, and death of Pawa as he opened the door with Makima telling him to. However, with his responsibility that comes with freedom, his choices, Denji still decides to continue living on and decides to kill Makima, this time not as an uncontrolled chainsaw man, but as Denji himself, a human overtaking the control devil, a direct symbol of freedom from control. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe, give me a like, that really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Check me out on TikTok. I do lives teaching Japanese every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and peace.